It started with a simple request. I was in my kitchen, washing up after dinner, when my phone buzzed. The name on the screen made me pause. Ryan, my best friend Lissa's younger brother. I hadn't seen him in years, not since he was a lanky teenager trailing behind us when we were in college. The last time I'd heard anything about him, he was in his senior year of high school, and now, apparently, he was 18. Curious, I wiped my hands on a dish towel and answered. "Hey, Ryan, this is unexpected." "Hey, Sophie," he said, his voice deeper than I remembered. I hope this isn't weird, but I really need a favor." I smiled. "Depends on the favor." He hesitated, then sighed. "Can I come over? I don't want to do this over the phone." A flicker of concern ran through me. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I promise. I just need to talk." His tone was nervous, almost embarrassed. I glanced at the clock. It was only 7:30 p.m. With a quiet sigh, I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. "All right, come on over." I had barely set my phone down when my mind started racing. I hadn't thought about Ryan in years. To me, he had always been Lisa's kid brother, the one who hung around the house, eavesdropping on our conversations, trying too hard to be cool. But now I realized he wasn't a kid anymore. By the time the doorbell rang, I was oddly nervous. Shaking off the feeling, I smoothed my sweater and opened the door. Ryan stood there, tall and lean, his broad shoulders filling the doorway. His dark hair was slightly tousled, his jaw sharper than I remembered. But it was his eyes, warm, uncertain, searching, that made me pause. "Hey," I said, stepping aside. "Hey," he echoed, walking past me. He smelled faintly of cologne and something else, something familiar and undeniably grown-up. "Want something to drink?" I asked, trying to ignore the strange tension in the air. "Nah, I'm good." He ran a hand through his hair. "Thanks for letting me come over." I leaned against the counter, folding my arms. "So, what's this about?" He exhaled slowly. "I need your help with something. It's kind of awkward." I raised a brow, waiting. Ryan hesitated, his fingers tapping against his jeans. I need a woman's perspective. Someone I trust." My curiosity deepened. "On?" His eyes flicked up to mine, filled with both determination and hesitation. "I've never been with anyone before, and I don't want my first time to be some random, meaningless thing." The words hung in the air like a static charge. My breath caught, my heart stumbling over itself. "Ryan," my voice was softer now, careful. "I know it's crazy," he rushed on, his ears reddening. I trust you. You're the only person I could ask." I blinked, trying to process what he was saying. He wasn't joking. There was no laughter in his eyes, no smug arrogance. Just raw sincerity, an earnest plea from someone standing at the edge of something new. A strange, unexpected warmth spread through me. It wasn't just the request itself. It was the way he looked at me, the quiet respect in his expression. I took a slow breath. "Ryan, that's a big thing to ask." "I know," he said quickly. "And I don't expect anything. He broke off, rubbing the back of his neck. "I just wanted to ask." For a long moment, we stood in silence. The air between us felt thick, charged with something neither of us fully understood. And yet, beneath it all, there was something undeniable. A shift. A possibility. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something awaken inside me. I sat down, pressing my palms against my knees, trying to steady the whirlwind of emotions inside me. Ryan was still standing, shifting his weight, his hands tucked into the pockets of his jeans. He looked at me expectantly, but there was no pressure in his expression, only sincerity. I let out a slow breath. How had I gotten here? Ryan, I started carefully, choosing my words. This isn't something to take lightly. I know, he said quickly, stepping forward. That's why I came to you. I don't want it to be meaningless. I want to feel comfortable. Safe. Safe. That word caught me off guard. He trusted me, not just with his request, but with something deeper, his vulnerability. I ran a hand through my hair, buying myself time. What was I supposed to say? He was so young, just stepping into adulthood, while I had already lived through so much. And yet, sitting here, I didn't feel like the 50-year-old woman I was supposed to be. There was something about Ryan, the way he looked at me, the quiet intensity in his eyes, that made me forget the years between us. Ryan, I said again, my voice softer this time, you could be with someone your age, someone who's also figuring things out. His jaw tightened. I don't want that. Why? Because I don't want to stumble through it, he admitted. I don't want awkward, rushed, careless. I want something real. His eyes searched mine. You always felt real to me, Sophie. Even when I was younger, I could tell you were different. You weren't like Lissa's other friends. You actually listened when I talked. You never brushed me off. I swallowed. I hadn't realized he'd noticed those things. I don't want to be a mistake for you, Ryan, I said quietly. He exhaled, taking a slow step closer. You wouldn't be. Something about the way he said it made my stomach flutter. This wasn't just about curiosity for him. It wasn't about some fleeting, reckless decision. He was looking at me with intention, with a kind of respect that was rare, even for men my own age. I looked away, my mind racing. I should have said no. I should have stood up, told him this was impossible, sent him back out the door. But I didn't, because deep down, I knew what I was feeling too. A forgotten part of me, a woman, not just someone's friend or someone's ex-wife, but a woman who still longed to be seen, to be wanted. And in Ryan's gaze, I saw something I hadn't seen in years. Admiration, desire, a quiet reverence. I swallowed hard. Ryan, this would change things between us. I know, he said without hesitation, and I'm okay with that. I let out a nervous laugh. You're awfully sure of yourself for someone with no experience. That made him grin, a slow, crooked grin that sent an unexpected warmth through me. Maybe, but I know what I want. The room felt smaller, the air thicker. My pulse quickened as Ryan took another step, close enough now that I could see the tension in his jaw, the way his fingers twitched slightly like he wanted to reach for me, but was holding himself back. I could stop this. I could tell him no and pretend none of this ever happened. Or I could acknowledge what I already knew deep down. I wanted this too. Maybe not just because of him, but because of me. Because it had been so long since someone had looked at me like this. Since I had felt something stir inside me that wasn't just duty or routine or loneliness. And as I met his gaze, I knew I had already made my decision. Slowly, carefully, I reached out and brushed my fingers against his hand. His breath hitched, his body tensing at the small contact. He was waiting for me to decide. And I had. I looked up at him, my voice barely above a whisper. Are you sure about this? Ryan nodded, his Adam's apple bobbing as he swallowed. more than anything. I let my fingers slide over his palm, our hands intertwining. And then finally I pulled him toward me. Ryan's fingers tightened around mine, his warmth seeping into my skin as we stood there, caught in the fragile space between hesitation and surrender. 1,000 thoughts rushed through my mind, questions, warnings, reasons to pull away, but none of them felt as real as the steady rise and fall of his breath, the quiet anticipation in his gaze. I had spent so much of my life putting others first, being the responsible friend, the supportive ex-wife, the woman who always thought things through. But tonight wasn't about logic. It wasn't about the past or the future. It was about this moment, about the way Ryan looked at me like I was someone worth wanting, not just someone who had lived too many years to be desired. I reached up, my fingertips brushing against his cheek. His skin was warm, smooth, untouched by time in a way that made me hyper-aware of my own fine lines. But when he leaned into my touch, closing his eyes for a brief second, I realized that none of that mattered. I had spent so long thinking my best years were behind me. That passion, desire, being seen, were things I would only ever look back on with nostalgia. But here, in the stillness of my living room, with Ryan standing so close, I felt something awaken inside me. I wanted this. A shaky breath left my lips as I whispered, "Are you sure?" Ryan nodded, his voice steady. Yes. That was all I needed. I closed the space between us, pressing my lips against his in a slow, tentative kiss. Ryan tensed for a heartbeat before melting into it, his hands finding my waist, unsure but eager. The kiss was soft at first, delicate, but then his fingers tightened against my hips, and something shifted. There was an urgency beneath his hesitance, a hunger wrapped in restraint,